Right then, hello everybody, welcome along to an audience with John McCrea. I am not John McCrea, as you can tell, either that or some serious plastic surgery has taken place. It's very unlikely. My name is Leonard Sultana. I run a website called The Convention Collective and also a blog called An Englishman in San Diego, where we talk about convention news, pop culture, and things and interesting stuff when it comes to the world of comics. I was very lucky late last year to be part of a live draw, which was all about the launch of this particular book. It was a Kickstarter for The Mighty World of Mccrae. It's a fantastic way of celebrating 30 plus years of an amazing artist who has reached out to me because he wants to raise some money for another fantastic cause, the Cartoon Museum. Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves John McCrea in the building. Hello there, John. How the devil are you, sir? Oh, hang on a second. Let's get that on going. Try that again. How are you doing, John?
Not too bad, Leonard. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Considering that lockdown 3 seems to be never ending, and I can't work out what day it is. I know it's Friday. I know we're here. We're all sorted. But it was a pleasure to get the email when you suggested that we do this event, because it started off as just a live draw, but then you've got some good friends roped in as well. But it's for a great cause, and that's where I'd also like to introduce somebody else into the live stream as well. We've got Steve Marchant, who's joining us. A little bit dark there, but we could just about make him out.
That's a very mysterious looking cat,
isn't it? Just
oh my god!
Has he killed somebody, and we're just trying to keep his identity to a minimum? Is that what it is?
Yes, that's the case.
I stay.
I murdered my girlfriend earlier, so she wouldn't need to use the word.
Right, so I mean, I'm going to moderate today, but obviously it's going to be a conversation between John and his good friends as well. Steve, if you'd like to introduce yourself and explain the work of the Cartoon Museum.
Hello, yes. Well, the Cartoon Museum has been around since 2006. It's in central London, and we exhibit original pages of artwork from comics, from magazines, newspapers, books, and we've been very successful. We've had loads of visitors. We have a thriving education department where I personally have put off children from drawing comics for the rest of their lives. So John, yeah, I'm cutting down the competition.
Thank you.
And yeah, and we run a lot of comic and cartoon related events, book launches, talks, etc. Which of course we've not been able to do a great deal of that in the last 12 months. And as roughly 80% of the museum's income is derived from visitors that pay to get in, a reasonable sum. Obviously, you know, we've been very concerned about money and being able to keep the place open, as having a large venue in central London is very expensive. So I'd like to thank everybody involved for doing this tonight. It's going to be a great benefit to the museum, and I can pass on the best regards from Director Joe Sullivan and the staff, all of whom are just overjoyed. On the subject of staff, the sad part of this is some of the people joining might know that we lost Alison Brown to COVID about a month ago. Alison was very much the front face of the museum. She was a very dear friend of mine, and she's going to be irreplaceable. We could get somebody else to run the shop, but we'll never get an Alison. So, you know, it might sound mawkish, but in my head, I'm thinking, like, as she used to organise so many groovy events at the museum, this one's for her, as well as the whole museum. And I'll be here for the duration. So while we're going through, if it crops up again, if anybody wants to know anything more about the museum, what we have on display, for instance, we have artwork from 2000 AD. We've had some of John's artwork up before. We have stuff from the Beano. We have classic Leo Baxendale and Ken Reed art from the Beano. We have V for Vendetta. We have Watchmen, the single most expensive sheet of paper that the museum has ever purchased.
Really?
Which is why it's Yeah, no, seriously, it's eye-watering, and it was £18,000 on the back in
Ouch.
pencil. On the back in pencil, it says 35. So you know, hold on to that artwork, folks. It can appreciate in value. But anyway, that's enough, I think, from me for now. But like I say, I'll be around if anybody wants to know anything about the museum or anything of an embarrassing personal nature. I'm more than happy to respond.
No worries. I mean, we'll be putting this up throughout the course of the live stream. Do go and check out cartoonmuseum.org for all of the updates when it comes to what the Cartoon Museum gets up to. On there is also a donate now or donate when you can button. It's right there on the homepage. And any way that you can help the Cartoon Museum continue the great work that it does, please do visit the website, find out more, and we are all crossing our fingers that we can all get back into the building sooner rather than later. So that's great. Someone else that's also joining us in a more virtual sense, we've got Kat Dinnings as well, who's going to be on the comments. Any questions that come up that you want to ask about donating to the Cartoon Museum, or anything that she can answer, she's going to be on the Q&A. Do jump in and she'll dive in. She's also going to be kind of talking to everybody as well on the comments. It's great that everybody who's watching this live has donated some great funds, which we're going to send directly to Steve and the Cartoon Museum. Really looking forward to that. Another way that we're also going to be raising money a little bit later on in the live stream is a bit of an auction. We've got ourselves some bits and pieces. I've got some bits and pieces floating around. John's got one or two as well. But the main thing that is up for grabs, the kind of the key part of it, the auction, is this fantastic piece of artwork which John is currently doing as we speak, a Judge Dredd piece, which we're going to be watching being created live. John, I've done enough talking. Steve's done enough talking. It's time for you to say a few words as well. Hello there, John. So,
hi.
This is obviously you've got a pencil sketch up and running. How long has this taken you to get up and running?
This didn't take too long. The previous version of it, which I scrapped about half an hour before joining the live stream, took a little longer. But that's often the way of these things. You start something, you're a little bit tense when you first start the drawing because you want to get it right. You've got a deadline, you're working on it, and it doesn't go quite right. Maybe I tend to just scrap a lot of things these days and just move on, realize that something's gone wrong. And then this one just flowed out of the pencil reasonably easily. I think perhaps I was trying to be a little bit too ambitious with the previous picture or something. I don't know. It just didn't work out. But yeah, so far this has taken me about 30 minutes of noodling away at it, I guess. I didn't expect to have quite this much done when the show started, but here we are. I guess we'll be mainly concentrating on the inking process because I found with live streams that pencils doesn't show up particularly well on the camera. I am using quite a dark, like a 4B pencil, so that the lines are reasonably dark. The problem with that is when you come to rub out afterwards, you get this smudgy mess. So there's a kind of a balance between getting the right pencil for one of these drawings and the finished piece. So yeah, it's an iconic, hopefully, Dredd shot of him sneering down at some perp who he's just shot, doubtless. Yeah, if anybody's interested in it, of course, we're auctioning it for the Cartoon Museum, and I'll just be sitting here talking about process, and possibly will be joined by Steve MacManus later, who is, of course, everybody probably remembers Steve as Tharg. He was one of the well, he's the Tharg I remember from 2000 AD, the editor of 2000, and he was also the guy who gave me my first work at 2000 as well. And also Garth Ennis will be joining us later from the States. where he currently resides. Garth will be popping in, saying a few words, and I guess Steve and I and Garth will chat a bit about the good old days. And I have a little bit of a
Fingers
chat
crossed.
about that. But, you know, yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't want to start getting all sentimental, but, and Garth definitely doesn't. That's not his bag of chips at all. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, people can ask questions as they're listening. Drop us a question, and Kat will hopefully pass it on to us, and we can answer any questions. And if you've got any questions about the process that I'm going through to produce this piece of artwork, ask away on that as well. I have all my gear scattered around me. I've got my cup of tea. I've got my gin and tonic. So I'm sort of well set for the evening.
I'm on cherry juice. I'm feeling like a complete lightweight at this point, but okay.
You're what?
I'm on cherry juice, for goodness sake. I'm on cherry juice.
Oh geez. That doesn't sound that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, Leonard. I've got to.
Not really. Maybe I can throw some vodka in it in a bit as we go. But there we go.
There you go. There you go.
How far into the process? Is this going to be a coloured piece that you're going to be eventually sending on to the winner, or is it just going to be an inked piece that's going to be?
If I put any colour on it, it'll be just a single spot colour. I actually haven't got any of my colours sitting around me at the moment, so I may call in one of my small slaves to rush off and grab me some paints shortly. So if it comes to that. But really, I'm going to do an ink wash and black line ink wash sort of thing. So I work basically mainly with these repeater liner pens and these Zig scroll and brush pens. So
excellent stuff.
So I'll be using those plus ink, and hopefully not making a complete hash of it all. That's one of the nerve-wracking things about doing these things live is you really if you make a mistake, everybody sees it. And that's
well, I don't think there's going to be.
Why am I doing this to myself? I
took part in that live draw last year, and you said exactly the same then, and it turned out. Well, you did two pieces, and they turned out wonderfully. So. Fantastic.
All right, okay.
In fact, like I say, Kat's already kind of prompting conversation on the Q&A already. We've got asking what's everyone's coolest art page that they own. So yeah, jump in on that. Let us know on the Q&A. We'll on the chat. We'll kind of dive in on that.
Shall I tell you what my coolest art page is?
Go for it. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's my coolest. Possibly. I was a huge X-Men fan when I was a kid, like pretty much everybody back in the 80s when Byrne and Claremont were doing their thing. But when Arthur Adams came along, he blew my tiny mind as well with his work. And I was lucky enough one time, one of my favorite books of his was X-Men Annual 9, which was the Loki fucks around with the X-Men and turns Storm into a Norse goddess, like the god of thunder, I guess. With what with her control of lightning and elements and all that, it made a lot of sense. And I was in Comic Showcase on Neil Street, which was my favorite haunt when I used to travel over from Belfast, and I was over hauling my portfolio around and showing it to the various people like Steve McManus probably and the Marvel guys, and I went into Showcase, and there was the final page from X-Men Annual 9 with a big splash page of Storm all in her getup and Loki, and it was 90 quid. So I bought it, and I'd imagine it has appreciated somewhat in value, but I think it might be my favorite piece of artwork that I have. I've got a fair bit, but I've got a Kirby Panther page, Jack Kirby Panther page, which some fool swapped with me for a bunch of my artwork. and I've got a Gil Kane Warlock page from issue 1 of Warlock, which was nice too. So I have got some nice pages, and I picked these all up back when comic artwork was relatively sane. You know, you could pick up a decent page for, you know, something bordering on sanity, whereas now I don't think that's the case. You can't really buy much for anything other than, you know, mortgaging the house or what have you.
I don't have much in the way of actual pages, but I do have a couple of pieces around the house. I've got one which I actually got for my wife commissioned, which John Davis Hunt did for Rogue, favorite X-Men, and that is currently framed in the bedroom. Yeah, it's the one thing that it's all got on comics, not the actual pages itself. I'm going to have to change all of that at some point down the line. Andreas Sherman's watching, probably Hitman 41, pages 14 to 21 sequence for tomorrow. So there you go. Nice
I know. Yeah, I know Andreas. He's hi Andreas, how you doing? He's got a fair few of the Hitman pages. I was in Berlin a couple of years ago, and I did a signing at a shop there, and Andreas came down with some of his pages to get signed. And I wondered, I quickly realized where all my artwork had gone over the years. Bloody hell.
And Mike,
thank you, Andreas.
If we're talking art, I have a Halo page, Halo Jones page on the wall of my office here. Love some of that Gibson goodness. It's one where the robot dog is chasing Halo through the engine room. Excellent piece. Well done.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, Richard Meehan. I have an Esquerra page of Dread from the Apocalypse Wall, one of my favorites. I do have a Esquerra sketch. I have a Rogue Trooper, which I got from Carlos about 6 months prior to his passing. But I was very lucky to meet him.
Where was that you met?
That was at ICE. That was the ICE festival.
I was going to say that was the first time I'd properly met Carlos was at ICE. I think I had met him like just in passing, ships in the night type of thing, a few times, but I'd never really sat and chatted with him. And he and Wagner and I sat on a sofa and had a bit of a long natter. And what a lovely fella! What a lovely fella! It's really nice to meet him.
I think I made the mistake of asking him for a piece of a character which he didn't create, and he went, "No, that's
right." All right, okay.
No, I'll do one that I've drawn, but no.
So, right, okay. Oh well, he had to see a principled man. There you go.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, I also want to talk to you about Dread. I appreciate that you've chosen this piece, chosen this character, very much because of the time period that we're going to be talking about as well as part of this live stream. But what is it about Dread that appeals to you as a character? Obviously, that the iconography that Carlos created when he put that the character design together. But what is it about Dread for yourself?
Well, yeah, exactly. I love the absurdity of Dread. I love the universe that he works in. He's the straight man around which all the insanity happens, and so you've got this, completely emotionless, almost robot guy who is surrounded by all these barmy people, and it's just that juxtaposition that is so appealing. Obviously, I don't find Dread himself a admirable character, what with him being a huge fascist and all that. But it's comics and fun. But
that's one of the questions.
As he looks, he's awesome.
I mean, when I met, when they obviously did a panel, both John Wagner and Carlos Esquerra at the ICE Festival, and one of the questions I actually put to them was about that whole, because certainly the period when I was reading Judge Dredd, because I was reading the Sunday newspaper art strips, and I was reading 2000 AD at the time, and that real black satire of American law and American society. That's what, because I was that kind of kid. I was that kind of sarcasm is definitely one of my stronger weapons. And I really got into the whole satire of the whole thing. Obviously, as the years have gone on, we've had more and more serious and straightforward dread stories. But what is your dread? Is it the outright silliness, the real bombastic early days, or as the stories have gone on?
I think I like all of it, really. You know, as long as it's well written and well drawn, I am not too, you know, I'm not going to drop down. I mean, my favorite story probably is the White Wolf story.
Oh, wow.
You know, it's probably, you know, Steve Dillon's famous werewolf story, which I did a follow-up to a while back as a kind of, and that's probably my favorite. And, you know, that's just goofy nonsense, but really well done. You know, that era and before, when McMahon was working on The Judge Child and Bolland on that sort of time was really my time, because I was at the sweet spot. I was the right age to really, really enjoy all that. I mean, I think always your favorite work is going to be the stuff that really hit you when you were, you know, in your teens or a bit earlier, you know, and it really made your day, I suppose.
Do you manage to keep up with contemporary dread stories?
Some, not as many as I would like to. There's just not enough time in the day, and not enough money in the kitty a lot of the time. So, you know, I haven't got a subscription to 2000, mainly because I have just far too many bloody comics anyway. I really need to downsize. I have an attic that looks like an aircraft hangar, and it's jammed full of artwork and comics and toys.
Well, thankfully, I know of a museum which is more than happy to take
well, I think
some
the
pieces
Cartoon Museum, the Cartoon Museum has taken a few pages off me over the years. I don't know if I've donated or what. I have no clue.
We've got a couple of pages for a few troubles more. One
really?
One which
wow.
I think
can you actually even show those?
not from my kitchen, unfortunately. But
right.
But no, we've got a couple of pages. Nick Abadzis gave us one that he owns. So we are lucky with donations as well as purchases.
Yeah. Good old Nick. That must be a page Nick got off me, and then when he moved to the States, it's just like, what can I do without? I know I can get rid of this, and I understand.
That was exactly it, John. Though it was worried about his artwork staying around his brother's house, and that something might happen to it. So he said, "Look, you guys take it, have it, you know, and then people can enjoy it."
Yeah, absolutely. Good on him.
A couple of comments coming in. We got Kelly Kanayama. Hello there, Kelly. I wish I could get on that HEROGASM art train. All my comics art is on the wall in my home office, which doubles as the guest room. Torren is joining us. Hello there, Torren. I have a Johnny Red page by John Cooper Page that brings endless joy. Who else have we got? Harris Shadri is watching. I have an unpublished painted page of Meta Barons by Isad Ribic. Very lucky to have got my hands on it. That's I've seen the man work.
That's a genius.
Isn't he just?
I
mean, I think
genius.
I'm just trying to think if there's anyone who I would absolutely kill to get my hands on when it comes to some artwork. Yeah, is there any artists that you ideally would like to get pieces of? Is there a dream page that you would like to get your hands on, John?
Well, you know that.
No funds, no limits.
No funds, no limit. Oh well, then I mean, Jesus Christ. You know, I'd like a decent Kirby page. You know, a splash page or a cover. I'd like a nice Buscema page. I'd like a nice Frazetta painting. I think you could go on. I'd like a Jaime Hernandez page from Love and Rockets, please. You know, it's there's just so many that, and none of which I'm going to get.
I am going to
change profession.
I've got the Euro Millions ticket in. I'll let you know in the morning.
Okay, awesome. Right, thanks.
I've seen Kim Jong-gi draw live. I'd love to get a Kim Jong piece. That would be, I think, my dream piece. I think. I
just like to steal his. I just like to steal his brain so that I could just draw like that. You know, just have that in natural. I don't know. Has he got photo?
I have no idea.
Photographic memory or something like that, because he seems to be able to just draw anything from just a standing start without much. It's just so unfair.
It's incredible.
Give us ordinary humans a chance here. You know, for frick's sake. Oh dear, God, cool. He's amazing. He is amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, we are going to be joined shortly by Steve MacManus and also by Garth Ennis. So we are going to be talking about that period in your career, and also Troubled Souls and Crisis. We kind of talked about this briefly when you came on my live stream when we did the last live draw. Crisis for me was my transition. It was my puberty when it came to comics.
Right.
2000 AD was kind of like me just getting into grown-up comics, but Crisis was when I think for me fully came of age, because of the subject matter, the approach to story, the way that the Crisis was put together. And yeah, I was a subscriber and I bought the book pretty much from the word go. Obviously, you had the two strips which started things, which was Third World War and New Statesman. And then it went into Troubled Souls. For yourself, what was the period like when it came to Crisis? Why do you feel that such a politically charged comic was needed at that time?
Oh, I mean, it's always needed, isn't it? Stuff like that. The world's always a mess, and you need people telling it like it is, even if it is in the childish medium of comics. And I'm saying that with a very wry smile. So I think Crisis just came along at a time when things had changed. Comics were starting to be taken a little bit more seriously, though. You know, if I see another comics have grown up, Bow, Pam, Wham, Splat, it's not the Beano anymore headline, I think I'll scream. So
you're not on your own.
No, I know. You know, people pretend that they respect the medium, but that's just when they feel they should, but they don't really a lot of the time. But yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see people taking comics seriously. And I enjoyed Crisis, but it wasn't something. I was running a comic shop at the time, so I was basically reading reading everything, because that was my job. And in fact, it was Belfast's first comic shop that Garth used to come in and buy his comics from. And then we had a comic shop that opened up after us, just down the road, called the Talisman. We were called Dark Horizons. They were the Talisman. And they were our mortal enemies. But when Crisis did its tour of the UK, it went to the Talisman. I'm not 100% sure why. I can't really recall. Maybe because the Talisman was a professional operation, and Dark Horizons, which I ran with my mate Fred Collier, was a shambolic mess in the back of a record shop. Possibly it might have been that, so they thought that they'd go somewhere where they'd be taken seriously, perhaps. But I remember going down to the Talisman, sort of biting my tongue and just steeling myself and going down to the dreaded competition just to see the guys there. And I think Wagner was there, and Jim Bakey. I very clearly remember Jim being there. He was lovely, and I can't remember who else. When we were chatting to Steve yesterday, I asked Steve if he had been there, but he wasn't. Maybe, I suppose Igor Goldkind, who was Fleetway's sort of PR guy, and depending on what you would believe, Igor may have created the adult comics industry with his bare hands. Igor was, is and was, I mean, I love Igor, but he was bombastic, to say the least. But
well, I mean,
that's
I think
what comics sort of need it.
Yeah, I think it's only fair that we kind of get other takes on Crisis. And also Troubled Souls as well. It's got to be said, Steve McManus has actually been as kind of like loitering in the stream pretty much from the moment we started. And obviously, because we've been concentrating on this, on the live draw and the conversation, he has kind of wandered away from camera. He is there.
Has he really?
As soon as he comes back in, we'll let him know and we'll bring him in.
He wasn't scintillated by my drawing. Good God.
Obviously, but someone else that has definitely said hello. I think he's just about to take his seat again. Here he is. So we have ourselves first and foremost, Steve Mack joining us. Hello there, sir. How are you? Oh, hang on. He's muted himself as well. So Steve, if you could just unmute yourself, sir. We've got a shaker as well. Oh, hang on a second. Yeah, he's just going to unmute himself.
Come on, Steve.
Good evening.
There we go. We can hear you.
I've got Shaka with me.
Shaka. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm good, John. How are you? Great to see you guys. Hi, Steve Marchant. Hi, Leonard. Yeah, Shaka's here. So everyone be good. Okay. Right.
Well, we'll try our best to behave. And we're also joined by the co-creator of Troubled Souls. Garth Ennis is joining us. Hello there, sir. How are you?
Hello. How's it going? Hello, John. Hello, Steve.
Hi, John.
Hey there, Garth. How's it going?
All right. I love Shako.
Yeah,
what a presentation. Yeah.
He's the business. We got to be on our best behavior.
Yeah.
Do we?
Oh yes. Otherwise, we'll miss limb from limb. Yeah. Like in the awesome Ramon Sola drawn episode where the guy mistakes him for a tile. You know?
I don't remember that.
he's getting out of the shower and he's reaching out and he's going, "Honey, could you pass me a towel?" And he gets a big handful of fur and
oh God. Oh, that's just magic.
Shaka rips him to bed.
Oh well.
You see, this is where I could quite easily just step back and let these three let riot. This is where it's going to be great. So yeah, we're kind of talking about that period of Crisis, and Steve, you kind of stepped away from camera, so hopefully you caught some of what John was saying about comics certainly coming of age with Crisis. For yourself, what was the impetus to create the book? Because considering that it was also taking that very big risk of going creator-owned as well, and taking that approach, what for yourself was the big impetus for Crisis? Why was it needed when it came out?
Oh, well, good evening. Crisis was born out of decision by me to get the hell out of comics, actually. And I flew to Key West and didn't want any more to do with it. But John Saunders, the managing director, said, "Look, why don't you create a comic that we can sell to the Americans, a superhero comic?" I ever said political, who would and then kind of like the whole story is in my book, The Mighty One, if you want to get the backstory. So, so we ended up with 2 scripts. One was a superhero script we wanted, and the other, kind of like Pat Mills said to me, I think I can take this on a different path. And Third World War, I like the title, I like the idea, and I wasn't going to argue with the guy who created Charlie's War, was I? So that's how we ended up with kind of half, you know, kind of like It's Not a Great World to Live in, and half John Smith's still, I think, very underrated early statesman superhero script.
That
John Smith's a hell of a writer.
Sorry. Out of the 2 initial stories, it was New Statesman that caught my attention the most, to be fair. I mean, I know Third World War was very much kind of like the headliner of the 2, but New Statesman for myself was just such a cool story. But then they were very fantastic. Well, one step 5 minutes into the future stories, whereas Troubled Souls was very much a story of now. It's incredibly contemporary. Garth, where did the idea to do Troubled Souls, was it something that you brought to Steve Mack, or was it something that came out of conversation predominantly for Crisis, or was it something that you were going to be able to take anywhere else?
It was really born of necessity, to tell you the truth. Not long after Crisis launched, Steve brought the signing tour to a comic shop in Belfast, then known as the Talisman, now Forbidden Planet Belfast. But Steve was there, and Pat Mills and John Smith and Jim Bakey. And I got talking to Steve, and I asked him what sort of thing they were looking for. And I said, would a story about the Northern Ireland Troubles, would that be the kind of thing? And he said, that's exactly the kind of thing we're looking for. So cynical, opportunistic little shit that I was, I immediately banged out 2 pages of synopsis, and I sent it in. And because I knew John, who was running another comic shop in Belfast at the time, I showed it to him, and he ran up some character sketches, and they accompanied the outline, as I recall. And a month or so, a couple of months later, when I called the Crisis office on my 19th birthday, figuring, you know, worth a punt, to my amazement, Igor Goldkind, who was Steve's PR guy, but also kind of assistant editor, he answered and he said, "Oh yeah, we were looking at that. We're quite interested. You could have knocked me over with a feather, but that's how it all started."
And when it came to John doing, where did you 2 meet? Where was that connection?
In that comic shop I mentioned, the one that John started. It was called Dark Horizons. It was Belfast's first comic shop.
First and worst.
I'm sure others have surpassed it since. But yeah, I think it was really because I wanted a local comic artist, you know, someone who I wouldn't have to draw in with reference, someone who basically knew the city and knew the situation. And I knew John was quite a handy artist. And the only other option really would have been Will Simpson, who was up to his neck in Dread and Rogue Trooper at the time. So that's why I asked John. And yeah, our eyes met across a mostly empty comic shop, and we said,
mostly empty comic shop. You had been there, yes.
We said, yes, suppose so. Yeah, all right then. Christ.
What, drone rail people?
Yeah, don't know about that. But anyway, that's how we got together. His sketches accompanied my outline, and I think when I spoke to you after I spoke to Igor, you briefly suggested I work with Pat Mills on something, but he already had my friend Malachi Coney as his co-writer on the Third World War Northern Ireland storyline, and so you suggested I just go ahead and write a script, which I did, sent it to you, and then it was it was after that you suggested John and myself come by the office and kind of talk the story through with you and Igor.
Yeah,
I
that was
remember
quite
you
a
two
moment.
turning up at the crisis office, two very young lads standing in front of me in this tiny office. God, it was a wreck pigsty. And we just said, let's do this, didn't we? And we figured out how many pages it would be, and off you guys went and came back and did some great stuff.
Yeah,
Well, that's debatable, Steve. I was just shitting myself, quite literally, learning on the job, because you know, you had asked me to do painted artwork, which was the order of the day back then, and I had never painted a thing in my life. And when you
Really?
asked me if, oh yeah, never. And if you asked me, could I paint 96 pages, and I looked directly at you and just lied. Yes, Steve. Yes, I can do this. No problems. I've done it many times before, or whatever the fuck I said, and it just bullshitted
John,
my way to the job.
You were working about three up, weren't you? Your artwork was like it stretched down the corridor, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. Yeah, it was twice up, I think, Steve, but it looks
Twice
like
up.
3 up. Yeah, I've still got some of the pages sitting up in the attic, you know, and it's just yeah, they take up an inordinate amount of space. It's fucking ridiculous. Yeah,
They're currently holding it up.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just wallpapering the place. So yeah, but yeah, sorry about that, Steve. Yeah, you should have got somebody who actually could paint. But there you go.
What was your reaction
Well,
to
you did
the
whole
pages
thing,
when they
didn't
came
you, both
in,
of you?
Steve? To have something that was so contemporary of what was happening in the Troubles at the time.
Yeah, I liked them a lot. I really did. You know, there are many different opinions about Crisis, I think, in retrospect. But the more I think about Crisis, the more I'm really pleased I was part of that kind of step on, as people say, from 2000 AD, the next level, give writers a bit more freedom to discuss, their concerns. And as you say, John's artwork was, and Garth's story was the first step on that road, really, because it was kind of like present day, wasn't it? It wasn't five years in the future. It was present day, or a bit of history, anyway.
Yeah,
I think when I say that it was my evolution of comics, I think that's pretty much what I meant, because, like, yeah, I mean, I was superhero boy at that point. I'd done my Beano and Dandy. I'd done my 2000 ADs. I'd done my kind of, like, it was the superhero stuff. But this was something else. To open up the back of that issue, it would just transition to go from New Statesman and Third World War and the other kind of stories that I've been reading. It was just something else. It was a true to life slice of something which I wasn't familiar with. It was a new perspective on something which I wasn't, as a young man, familiar with at that time. And I think that's what Troubled Souls was for a lot of people. Garth, obviously, the story it evolves and it weaves over the course of I believe it's 50 issues that the story takes. Oh no, it's 50 issues of Crisis. That's right. Of the issues of
I think it was about 12.
Yeah,
12 episodes together.
How much of it did you have planned out from the start? How far did you have it mapped out in your head?
As I recall, the synopsis that I sent to Steve and Igor would have been about 2 pages with a paragraph on each episode. So I guess I must have had it reasonably well planned out. But I couldn't tell you much more than that. I'm pretty sure the ending was set in stone. Some of the little details along the way would have changed, but that's par for the course, really.
Yeah. As always, we are taking questions from the Q&A. Everyone who's watching, if you've had any questions for John, Steve, or Garth, do jump in. We've got Catherine who's saying, is anyone else a little blown away at how quick John is lining that artwork. Yes, you are moving rapidly along with that piece there, sir.
Oh, well, yeah. It's once it's penciled, I've developed this sort of slightly scribbly style, which requires very little, precision, and you can just sort of hack away at it. You gain some time in one place and you lose some time in another. But yeah, I guess I've drawn Dredd a million times now. So I know him pretty well. I'd feel a bit sort of ashamed if I couldn't just bash away and sort of produce something reasonably quickly now with old Dredd. Yeah. But thank you.
And you've got Michael Martland who's saying Dougie and Ivor must be old men by at this point.
If they're fucking alive. With Ivor. Jesus. There's no more dicks, is there, Garth?
I don't think so. I don't really have any more ideas. Speaking of dicks, haha, and painted comics, I do recall a perhaps semi-relevant anecdote. It was after Troubled Souls when we decided to do the next one for a few troubles more, which was the comedy one. And we were sitting in the pub, you and me and Steve and Igor, and I can remember Igor saying, John, you should paint this. You should paint this book. Painted comics are where it's at. It's going to make a big difference. It's what you need to do. And of course, that was the exact opposite of what you should have done with that book.
Really? Yeah.
Because it was the goofy one. I didn't need all that kind of heavily rendered full color artwork, which I think was just a rod for your own back and took you 3 times as long as what the artwork, the story actually needed would have.
Yeah, at a certain point as well, I had to rope in Will Simpson's wife, Wendy Simpson, to help me with the artwork. Wendy, you and I would go down and visit Will quite regularly back in those days when he was living in Glen Arm, and I was struggling my way through the painted artwork because painting comics is like pulling teeth for me. So yeah, I quickly sort of begged Wendy to help me out on some of the less important panels, I suppose, I guess, and just sort of gave her some of that work to do because Jesus, that's another reason I owe Igor a thump. If he taught me into painting that.
Yeah. But it was the thing at the time, wasn't it? The trouble was it only really worked for about half a dozen guys. I mean, I'm exaggerating to make a point, and everyone else should have stayed in black and white and had it colored up. But at the time when it looks as if this is the wave of the future, suddenly everyone's doing it. But yes, massive pain in the arse for all concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I think the trouble with painted artwork for me is that it slows down everything. People stop to sort of look at all the fancy painted technique and don't get on with reading the story. So I'm not a huge fan. There's only a couple of people who can do it well.
Yeah,
in my mind.
Interesting. The Americans never went over to it fully. They kept the majority of their books on just black and white line artwork colored, and did a few very special projects painted.
Yeah.
I just can't keep up the schedule otherwise.
Yeah. The first job I did for America was Not the Demon with you. Archie Goodwin, bless him, rang me up and said, we want you to do a book for us. And I was like, oh God, great, working for the America. And he said, it's a fully painted book with James Hudnall called Street. Yeah. And I just cried. I tell you, Jesus Christ. It was like, I'm not going to turn down Archie Goodwin, but Christ, more painting. So
gosh.
Yeah.
He was quite you guys, Steve, you were talking to him about doing some stuff for a while, I think, for Crisis.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I can't remember how we met James, but he came over from the West Coast to Britain. And that's how he must have come across you and John, I guess, and then
Yes, it was
taken
at that.
John's name back to Archie.
That's right.
Yeah, and because he died recently, didn't he?
I'm afraid so. That's right. Yeah.
He did indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And he
had
did do some
chat.
stuff.
Sorry, Steve. Carry on.
I was just going to say, James did do a script for the Judge Dredd magazine. I think he was going to do a Japanese, because he had a Japanese girlfriend, I think, whose name escapes me. But he did write a really nice first episode, but it never came to pass. And yeah, there was a convention up in Scotland, and James found a table and sat behind it. Jim, yeah, there was. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm waiting to talk to my fans." I said, "Well, that's good stuff, man. Carry on. I'll be in the bar." You know.
The difference between UK conventions and American conventions in a nutshell.
Yeah, that was what eventually sank UCAC and GlasCAC and all those things. Like everyone just pissed off to the bar.
Yeah, that's it.
We do have a couple of comments that have come in, a couple of questions, if that's okay. Richard Meehan is saying, how about a story about the Troubles change over into Dicks over time? Times and tones change. And you got Michael Martland, who's followed it up saying Dicks and COVID. Yeah, a COVID story at this point.
I'm going to do my damnedest to avoid COVID stories, to be honest with you, because I said this to someone recently. This terrible need that artistic types have to respond to something like COVID, when in fact, if you think about it, we've had nothing but 20 years of horde, contagion, pandemic, outbreak, zombie stories anyway. So what more of that's going to achieve, I don't know. As for the first question about how did Troubled Souls effectively turn into Dicks, it was because I think John and I came off Troubled Souls. I certainly felt maybe a little bit typecast as the sensitive, strident political writer, which is not what I was. And I wanted to do something that immediately turned the last story on its head. So we took the two supporting characters who I think we liked better than the leads of Troubled Souls. Anyway, and we spun them off into their own story. And yeah, it worked out pretty well. But it was really just a desire to show that we had another string to our bow, I think, and not be perhaps as serious and pro-faith as we had been on Troubled Souls.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We've got James PT who's watching. Hello, James. This is for Garth and Steve. Oh, sorry, no, Steve's saying. So I couldn't quite catch it. Was there something, Steve?
I was just going to say what I liked about Crisis was that we bound up the stories into little hardback complete albums. Ryan Hughes did the design, I think, and that was quite fun. The covers of both Troubled Souls, for a few dicks more, and the one with Foreign Police.
Possible
the name escapes me. What was the one with Warren Police, Garth?
Oh, that was True Faith. Yeah. That was the one that was withdrawn from Serial.
True Faith, yeah.
Yeah. Igor had this fantastic.
Yes. Oh my days.
He had this fantastic marketing policy on that one, where he sent copies to every major church and Christian group in the country.
Good old Igor.
And they just about bit his balls off, as I recall.
Lord.
Weirdly enough, it was withdrawn from sale. And then of course, you had similar trouble almost straight away with Skin, which was the Milligan McCarthy book. And that is a superb book, if you can get a copy of it. It's about a young skinhead guy with thalidomide.
Yeah.
And it is in print. I know they did eventually get it into print, first through Tundra and then through another thing. But yes, it was as if, briefly, it was as if Crisis was cursed with material like that and running into trouble like that. And then weirdly enough, the one that didn't run into trouble was the Grant Morrison thing, New Adventures of Hitler, where it's like he was really asking for it. So the church, thalidomide and swearing, and oh no, we're fine with Hitler.
Yes.
Hitler's
He was a lovely chap. He was a lovely chap. He liked dogs and all that. Vegetarian, don't you know?
So I was about to launch into this from James Peaty. This is for Garth and Steve. Hello there, James. Welcome along, sir. How did the Chopper series in the Meg come about? Was that straight after Troubled Souls? And did that lead to Garth being offered Dread?
As I recall,
you go ahead.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure which came first, but I think it was just that John Wagner was looking for other people to write Dread, and they needed more writers for the magazine anyway. And he'd seen Troubled Souls, and he liked it and thought I would be a good fit. He was wrong about that, as it turned out, but you know, nobody's perfect.
Strange combo.
Yeah. I think what it was, if I remember at the time, was John said that he didn't like a lot of comics that he was seeing by younger writers, but what he liked about it was it told a reasonably good story in a reasonably straightforward way, and I think that appealed to him. I mean, if you think about John's very nuts and bolts style of storytelling, that would definitely be more his choice than, say, John Smith, for instance, who was very much influenced by the Grant Morrison, Alan Moore sort of thread that was running through comics at the time.
Okay. Grim Jaggers Grimmy Jaggers. Oh, sorry, go on, Steve.
No, I agree with Garth. That's how I remember it. I think the nice thing, one of the nice things was the dreaming notion in that strip, and again, John's artwork really captured the freedom of Australia. You kind of felt it was a very true strip.
I think we picked that up from, I don't know if you remember, Steve, but John had done a couple of Chopper strips. There was obviously the Super Surf one, which turned into a slaughter, where they brought in anti-aircraft guns and they had to fly through that. But just prior to that, there was one Colin McNeil did in black and white, and it was just a 4-parter, and it was about exactly what you're talking about. It was about Chopper in the outback, in kind of discovering the dreaming and that kind of thing. Yeah,
that rings a bell.
So yeah, the question that came in from Grimmy Jaggers. I have a question for Garth, and I'm also going to tag John into this one as well. Has there ever been a character you've hated, struggled with writing? John, is there been a character that you've hated, struggled with drawing? We'll go with Garth first. We'll let John have a think about that.
There've been characters I've had a go at thinking this will be great, and then it's turned out to be a mistake. Like, I wouldn't go so far as to say I hated it, but I wrote The Shadow and couldn't get an angle on it at all.
Really?
I thought it would be, this is the Punisher in the 30s, big cloak, twin 45s, what could be better? But once I started writing it, I realized there just wasn't really much to the character beyond that, what you might call superficial window dressing, really. And I also once had a go at writing Sergeant Rock and couldn't do it at all, which sounds odd. I think the problem was that I was trying to write characters like Little Sure Shot and Bulldozer, and with those DC war characters, things like Viking Princes are never very far away. They are essentially, by their nature, superheroes in uniform. And I think it was not long after I'd seen Saving Private Ryan, and I found myself thinking there's something vaguely distasteful about this, about putting these larger-than-life grotesques through the experience of actual people who suffered and died, and it being an ostensibly serious story, not a grotesque over-the-top comedy, but an apparently serious story. And I ground to a halt on that one because I just couldn't keep going with it. After that, I realized that the smart thing to do was to do my own war stories, create my own characters, and not try to shoehorn the old ones into perhaps more realistic stories. And there's probably many more, but those are the two that come to mind.
Yeah. I wonder if there's also that element as well, that sometimes there's a character that you've read growing up, or it's something that a character that you've loved in your comics reading. You've enjoyed the work of other people that have done it, and then you're presented with it, and you end up kind of having the shadow of those writers and creators in the background, as it were, almost intimidating.
I think that's true. I mean, for instance, Judge Dredd, I wouldn't say that was a character I hated writing. I thoroughly enjoyed writing it. It's just that I did bad work because I couldn't listen to what had come before. I wasn't able to say anything new with it. That was one where I really should have left it to the experts. I
thought you did a great job on The Unknown Soldier. I thought that was a terrific little mini.
Thank you. That was a little bit easier because that's a weird character to begin with. You know, he's more from the world of espionage and black ops and stuff. Like he's a nasty piece of work to begin with. But yeah, that worked out. Great art by Killian Plunkett.
Yeah, whatever happened to Killian Plunkett? I mean, you know, has he left comics for good? I presume he has.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, gone to where there's money or something. Crazy.
And for yourself, John, a character that you've hated or struggled with drawing?
Yeah, Wolverine. I think I find him extremely hard to draw. I think I've maybe done him justice a couple of times. I did an X-Men book a while back, and he was the main feature in it. And I think some of it was pretty good, and then other bits of it were not quite so hot. And yeah, I've just found, I don't know, there's just something about the look of him, and you would think that he would be the perfect, you know, I'd draw a Wolverine, no problems, but yeah, I find him tricky to draw. I always seem to get him just wrong. So any ex-editors who are listening, I'm lying, by the way. I draw a brilliant Wolverine. I'm the best Wolverine artist ever. So, you know, don't listen to my drunken ramblings, please.
So, if you are wanting to get a commission from John McCrea, he is doing a run on Wolverine pieces. So, if you want to get those in, you've got Michael Donaghey, who's joining us. I love it when John draws ugly people. There's something special about grotesque characters in comics art. See also Eric Bradbury, for example. And Kelly Kanayama, and this I'm certain for John, Steve, and Garth all in here. Thoughts on knock-on effect of the rise of mature comics, for example, explicit violence and sex becoming more prevalent in comics, sometimes at the expense of actual narrative depth. Thoughts, Steve? I don't know if you want to weigh in on this.
Well, I don't think there's enough sex in comics myself. That's all I can say.
That's it.
Garth, I mean, I think it's been said on numerous occasions, the whole, certainly, if not just mature comics, but the whole idea of the dark period, the kind of, you know, everything's got to be, it's got to be dark and realistic, and it's got to be moody, and it's got to be, it's certainly from the mid-'80s, and when Dark Knight and Watchmen and everything just got shrouded in ennui and darkness.
It's the same as anytime the industry embraces any new movement. Remember what I said about painted artwork? You know, half a dozen guys did it well, but when you get everyone to do it, you start to see the flaws. Well, it's the same with this. You have tremendous work by people like Alan Moore and Jamie Delano and Peter Milligan. But then when it's decreed that everyone will do dark, grim, and gritty, that's when you start to see the flaws. So it's not so much any particular idea that comics embraces, it's just the necessity people feel that it should saturate the industry after that. So yes, you're bound to get variations in quality at that point.
It is a business after all, so people see things succeed and go, right, well, that's working, so let's just chuck more of that at the wall and see if any of the cash sticks. So I guess that's just going to always happen, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's when you have DC embracing it with their black label, and they've just thrown everything in there. It's not so much a new Vertigo; it's just everything that's kind of dark and moody, and they've just thrown it into a prestige format, which seems very. I mean, there's the whole idea of putting stuff in a box. They literally have done, and it's as closed as it can possibly get.
Has anyone told them that they've named a line of comics after a particularly shitty kind of lager? You know, there was actually a pre-existent black label, and there are empties floating around the parks and canals of England.
I don't think that's what they were going for.
Entire sort of substratum in the British soil of darling black label.
Well, I mean, I'm still waiting on this summer's Marvel launch of Red Stripe, so that's going to be an interesting line. We've got Steve Marchant who's here, and he's been kind of loitering like we've been talking about dark corners of comics. There he is. He's a dark corner of comics. He's right there in the corner. But we do have. We might as well bring Steve into this because we have got a question or two about the Comics Museum, the Cartoon Museum, sorry, and certainly about what you have planned for when COVID. We are able to come and visit the Cartoon Museum in the future. Richard is putting the question: when this COVID nightmare is over, are there any planned exhibitions that you can talk about?
Well, we have got exhibitions planned. I have been given strict instructions not to reveal what they are yet. There is an exhibition due either late this year or very early next year about a very important and influential British graphic novel. And the only clue I think I'd be allowed to give is to say that next year will be its 40th anniversary of first being in print. I don't want to start a big kind of guessing fest, as I'll crack and break. And but we've got that coming up. We have like a small display unit where we have temporary exhibitions for about a month at a time of various contemporary creators, including lots of new and up and coming artists and writers. And that's about A, it's all I can tell you for the moment. B, it's kind of all I know, as a lot of talks go on behind the scenes between the curator and the director. I nominally am the comic art curator, but that only means that they come to me and say, Steve, is this any good? And so that's, but we will be having book launches and events, possibly some talks with famous creators who, I'll be asking further down the line. And on the subject of Garth with Black Label, I thought that Black Label DC Comics, like, I mean, if they did a line called Guinness, I'd buy every single one.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Glass of sherry comics, something like that.
I mean, there was a comment earlier on about some pieces that some fans had seen at the Cartoon Museum. I'm based in Yorkshire, and I haven't been able to come down to the actual venue myself, but I have been told there's some Giles pieces up on the wall, so I won't mind checking those out because I'm a huge fan. So
they're terrific, and they're huge. I mean, this guy worked even bigger than John back in the day. Really? I mean, these things are monumentally huge. There was one time apparently when he was snowed in. He lived in the middle of nowhere, and he couldn't deliver the artwork for the next day's newspaper. So they actually flew a helicopter to him. From the Daily Express flew a helicopter to this little widdly-woo place he lived, so that the artwork would be ready for the morning's edition. And I've never heard of anything like that with any other cartoonist. So yeah, there will always be Giles on the wall, and yeah, brilliant stuff.
Excellent. Question from Rob Ellis. This is for Garth. What was it like having Alan Moore carry on Crossed?
It was brilliant. It was simply brilliant. He, as I recall, he told me that he'd started Crossed, the first series, and gotten about halfway through, and he just couldn't finish it. It was where he was in his life at that time. I think he'd just become a grandfather. He was maybe feeling a little more human than usual. And I would quite naturally be fairly deferential with Alan, and I said that's fine, you know. But it was Jason Burrows actually, and Avatar publisher William Christensen, who then said to Alan, "No, you should finish it. You should," and he did. And after that, I suppose the Moore brain just started ticking over, and he suggested this kind of crossed 100 years on thing, and it was like, yep. It wasn't just the idea itself; it was just the very notion of Alan writing Crossed. You know, it couldn't have been better. We couldn't have asked for better. It was fantastic. I'd run out of superlatives very quickly on that one.
We do have a number of questions for Garth. I think you can appreciate it's very rare that he jumps on a live stream, so there are a number. But we do also have comments about this fantastic piece.
Try to pick ones about John so that I can stitch him up. Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do. It's his stream. I like to bring up. But no, Kelly Kaneyama saying. I mean, look at that dread. I mean, John is steaming on with it. It looks great, says John Richard Meehan. It is fantastic. Alice Hudson Chief, hell of a shoulder pad on there, dread on there. That is a hell of a shoulder pad. That's something that's going to make turning around on the. Yeah, making a left-hand turn on the law give a bit of a struggle, but there we go.
That's why they've got those little beeping noises.
We do have the question, and it is in here somewhere, about the possibility of you two. Yeah, here we go from Michael Martland. Will we see Garth and John work together for a long-running series again?
Probably not a long-running series, in that I couldn't see myself doing a long-running series with anyone. Really, the thought of committing to something like Hitman or The Boys or Preacher again, I'd rather sort of revisit things from time to time. So I'm sure we'll do something, but I couldn't see it being on that scale.
Likewise, because I'm knackered. just the idea of drawing even 40 issues in a row just makes my head spin. It's just how the hell did I do it back then? I just have no clue. But there you go. Yeah, it's we're getting old
stuff. Any other questions? Do jump in on the Q&A. We do have Andreas who's watching. Question for Garth: would he go for a Sean Noonan war story if asked for by DC?
Sean being the barman in Noonan's bar, of course, and Tommy Monaghan's kind of surrogate dad. I can't see them asking. If I did, I don't know. It's the kind of thing where if I wanted to write something about a Marine unit in the Korean War, I'd come up with something of my own. There seems no reason to kind of hand DC a story like that almost for free, as it were. So it seems unlikely, to be honest.
Fair enough. I was thinking about this when I was looking through my crisis issues today. And Steve, I'd certainly want to ask your opinion on this, because we seem to be in a period right now which is very difficult to kind of reflect and comment on itself, not without a massive pile-on. There seems to be this kind of situation right now where it's very difficult to kind of put a mirror up to things. I'm thinking very much of the spitting image series that came back. And everyone of our generation, we thought, great, spitting image is going to come here. It's going to burst some balloons. It's going to kind of really get under the skin of some of those that really deserve it. It came out and it just couldn't seem to have the bite that it needed. Could a comic like Crisis exist today? Could it do what it needed to do in 2021?
You're asking me?
Yeah, indeed.
That's my turn. Yes, without doubt, of course. Because what was Crisis? What is any anthology but the sum of its creators, its writers and artists, and some dweeb like me to act as the production editor, get it out to the printer, phoning people up and stuff. So yeah, surely the answer to your question is yes. Yes for today, and yes for sort of every decade in the future. That's what was it Judge Dredd said? Who understands art, but at least it keeps the citizens happy. Well, there you have it. Who want to be entertained, and I'm sure that's the answer to your question.
Fair enough. Let's see if we've got any other new comments. Do keep any comments and questions coming in. But yeah, what we are going to be doing is an auction of the people who are watching, and we are going to be auctioning off this fantastic John McCrea Judge Dredd piece. You say you're not going to be colouring it. What kind of wash are you going to do on that, John? Here we go. The paintbrush is out. Yeah.
Yeah. As much as I hate paintbrushes, here I am doing it to myself again. What a fucking idiot. But yeah, it's just black wash I'm putting down, thank God. And I'll just, it's just going to be a black ink wash. It'll just add a bit of tonal quality to the picture. So it's just a matter of just dropping in a bit heavier black around the place. And
fair enough. What can you let us know what inks you're using?
I have no idea. I am the worst when it comes to anything of, picking up stuff of quality or what have you. It's just what was down at the local art store, the first bottle I came across. It happens to be Jackson's Indian ink. I don't know if Jackson's Indian ink is good or bad. I haven't a clue. And honestly, I couldn't care.
We'll soon find out.
Well, I've used it for quite a while, this stuff, and it sort of works okay. I haven't had any complaints, but I'm not going to. Oh, geez, I'm just lazy, quite frankly, and it's whatever comes to hand is what I use most of the time. Sorry.
Fair enough. Question for Steve Mack. What is Shaco reading there? What is that book?
Yes, Shaco. He is a well-read bear. He's getting a bit hungry, actually. He reckons there's some humans out in the snow tonight. We can probably feed him on. But in the meantime, he is reading this rather good novel about the British comics industry. It contains all the stories I couldn't tell in The Mighty One. It's a damn good read. This is a cover by Jim Stewart, my pal up in Scotland, who is the creator of Ganja Man. So Shaco's halfway through and he pronounces it quite good.
Quite good. So there you go.
There you go.
And also we've got Dennis Sorensen who's jumping in with the comments. I honestly just want to thank Garth and John for giving me so many hours of fun through the past 25 years. And you've got Andreas who's putting in, this is a comment that's come up a lot when I've been talking that I'm going to be talking to Garth on a stream, a Hitman TV show. Yeah.
Well, there have been, attempts, but I do not believe it'll ever happen. Not in the form that we recognize as being Hitman. Problem is, you're talking about a character who uses guns, uses a great many guns, and any episode of Hitman always had bullets flying left, right, and center. And that is just not going to fly at the moment. You probably saw the Punisher show a couple of years ago. I thought they managed a decent first season and a pretty poor second season, but the one thread that ran through that, I thought, was the absolute desperation to avoid using guns and to avoid making the lead character the instigator. So the notion, just as you can't really have a Punisher TV show where he does the things the Punisher does, which is ambushes people and kills as many of them as possible. So you can't really have a Hitman show, because bound up in the DNA of that character and that story is a great deal of gunplay, and that I think is going to be off the agenda for a number of years. We can still do it in comics, but if you want Hitman, I think you're going to have to go back to your trades, I'm afraid.
However, when it comes to excessive violence, it's nice to see that the streaming services have kind of released some of the shackles in that regard. Your terrestrial or your standard broadcasting and your standard cable networks struggle, obviously, but your streaming services like to dial it up to 10. And The Boys is doing great guns, as it no pun intended. But yes, you must be very proud with the way that show's being received.
Very much so, yeah, and particularly pleased with the way the book sales have taken off alongside it, because it's nice to have, not just for the obvious reason, but it's nice to have the original out there alongside the adaptation, if you see what I mean, so that people can see what the TV show came from and what was originally intended. But that has been very pleasant, actually, and it's freed me up in a lot of ways. I can focus on a lot of stories that would perhaps not be the most commercially viable things, but that are very close to my heart. A lot of stuff I've been doing in the past couple of years, like I did a graphic novel with PJ Holden called The String Bags, another one called with Steve Epting called Sarah. Things that really mean a lot to me.
PJ's a great wee artist, so he is.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look at this. Rob Ellis, my son loved The Boys, but how do I get him to read the comics? Fortnite is tough competition. Well, you take the batteries out of the controller.
Yeah. How old is he, I wonder?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Slightly nervous,
because that's always been a thing. I've always had a steady stream of people coming up to me saying, "My kid would love this," or "Will you sign this for my kid?" And I'm thinking, I don't know. Have you read that? And that automatically puts you on dubious ground, because you feel as if you do want to warn the parent so that you're not dropping yourself in the shit, really. But at the same time, you're wondering, if I tell them this, am I without realizing it, speaking to the leader of a new moral crusade that will see all comics banned? But you do wonder this stuff, especially when the kid himself comes up to you and he's about 10 and he's got a copy of The Boys, and you're thinking, oh shit, what do I do now? Yeah.
Especially when mum is stood directly behind him.
Yes, and you can tell she has no interest whatsoever. She's looking at her phone and going, yeah, whatever, just sign it for him. And there have been a couple of occasions where I've actually opened the book to a particular page and stood up and held it right in the parent's face and said, "This is okay with you? I just want to check." And that's when you get a couple of more overt reactions.
Has that ever ended well?
It usually comes down to a sort of, oh, I see.
Oh,
I didn't realize. Oh, right. Well, come along, Nigel. We'll
go elsewhere.
Yeah, we'll have a rethink on that.
Well, speaking of adaptations, we've had ourselves Catherine. A question from Richard Meehan. Dead Eyes is one of my personal favourites from John, and I think it would work so well in TV. I agree. I think it's an incredible creation that you've put together there, John.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with Dead Eyes. I just wish we could. We had got more. Would have got more out more quickly. Of course, there's a lot of a backstory to that, which is too boring and tedious to go into. But yeah, Jerry, who writes it, says has people interested in that as a TV show. But of course, pandemic-wise, things are slow. So who the hell knows? You know, and it's Hollywood, so one morning they're saying, yes, you're brilliant and wonderful, and the next morning they're saying they've moved on to the next thing or what have you. So who the hell knows? I just have to wait and see. I'm just a pencil pusher, so at the end of it, I guess we'll see. But I would love Dead Eyes to be turned into a show. It would be excellent. It was sort of, it's really made for telly as well. Though that wasn't, of course, our first and foremost idea behind it. You know, we weren't just sitting there going, right, what's going to be best thing that we could do that would make a great TV show. I think once you start making those decisions on those grounds, you end up with something not particularly brilliant. You've just got to do it first and foremost because you like it. And then if somebody else agrees with you enough to make a TV show out of it, then that's brilliant. So we'll wait and see.
Cool.
But thank you, whoever said that. I'd forgotten.
Oh, yeah, no, that's Grimmy Jaggers was in there and one or two others, very much extolling the virtues of Dead Eyes. We'll get a couple more comments out of the way. We'll get a couple more questions to Garth and Steve, and then I think we'll see where we are with this piece, and we'll have a look at getting a lucky home for it. We've got ourselves Matthew Ellis, who's saying, with John Wagner taking the proverbial long walk, would Garth have another take on the character? I know he's a big fan of Joe.
No, I would not, because a man's got to know his limitations, as Dirty Harry once put it. Shortly before bombing the man he said it to death in his car. So no, I would not. I still enjoy reading John's work on Dredd very, very much. But it is a question of, as I said earlier, leaving it to the experts. Has John stopped writing Dredd? Is that right? I mean, I know he's talked about it occasionally over the years.
I think he's made inferences that he's coming close, because I think he wants to concentrate on his own, certainly the books that he's doing. And
well, I hope he'll always do one now and then. I mean, working my way through those Rebellion archives, and I think they're up to 35 or 36 or something. I mean, the sheer quality of work that John's put out over the years, it's really stunning. It really is.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
But it's also been great to see the collective works of Dredd and 2000 AD doing really well as collected editions. But it's also great to see that to return to the subject of Crisis, if we can. It's been great to see that those books and those stories are coming together as collective works. Steve, what input have you been approached to bring those books together, or has it just been a Rebellion thing to bring the Third World War together as a piece? And I'm certain that the other books were coming as collective works as well. Have you been approached to help with those? Nope. Steve's gone mute on me again. Here we go. There you go.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Shaka. Shaka vision. Never mind Wonder Vision. We got Shaka vision. No, the first I heard about Third World War. That's a good joke. I'll write that down. First I heard about Third World War. I love that program. Don't you, Garth? Isn't it fab? Yeah.
You're asking Garth if he likes one division.
Yeah, I am.
I do have an idea for it.
Is that not a good thing to do, John?
Well, you know, I just know what the answer is going to be, so why bother asking?
I have not seen that.
Oh,
television
okay.
program.
You'll love it, Garth. It's a tip from the Mack.
No, you won't. Yeah, really you won't.
Yes, he will.
You'll think it's absolute fucking garbage.
Yes, he will.
I love it. I love it myself, but I know what Garth likes, and
Well, I
that's
like-
not it.
It's got a good cast.
That is true. That is true. Do you like any of
Yeah,
the
I
Marvel
think-
movies,
Steve
Garth?
Marchant. What do you think, Steve?
What was that? Sorry,
Steve
Steve.
Marchant.
What
Oh,
One
Steve
Division?
Marchant.
Of One Division.
I'm enjoying it. You know, it's a bit different to what they've normally done.
I've liked the conceit of doing the episodes as sitcoms throughout the years. So you did your 50s sitcom with, you know, I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched, and the kind of the old Desilu stuff back in episode 1. Episode 2, you went into your more 70s. So your 70s sitcoms, American sitcoms. So that conceit has worked really well. And like you say, they're doing something different. And personally, for myself, Elizabeth Olsen is doing some career best work. I'm very impressed with it. Garth, give it a go. You never know,
Ask
sir.
you a question.
Uh,
I've got to ask a question, mate.
Possibly do so.
There you go.
I want
Asking questions about
Rebellion to
the
do a book about the Running Man.
sorry, what was that, Steve?
Oh, good. Hello, I'm back. Talking of compilations, I think Rebellion should do a bind-up of the Running Man from Action.
I can't even remember.
Now that's a.
Do you remember the Running Man, Garth?
Lots of
Action.
violence.
Action was actually a little before my time, so I'm not familiar with a lot of the strips. I obviously know Hook, Jaw, and Dredger and so on. I really know the ones that made it into battle better.
Yeah, I can't remember the Running Man, and I
Yeah.
read Action. But
It
you
had
know.
great artwork.
Who was the artist? I forgot.
Horacio Analia. Horacio Analia. Argentine guy, but I think maybe he wasn't Argentinian. Steve Marchant might know. It's a superb
Steve.
story. I mean,
I've got no
What do you
idea.
think?
I didn't read Action very often when it was coming out. So again, much like Garth, I barely ever read it.
well, do me a favor.
I remember reading
get onto
Dredger.
Burnley and ask them to connect it.
Steve, did that guy Lalia, did he draw the Sarge in battle after Mike Western? Is that the guy?
Good question.
Western went on to
I'm
do
not sure.
Hms Nightshade, and then
Yep.
there was an artist, I think, called Lalia on the Sarge, who was then himself replaced by Phil Gascoigne. That would have been about 79.
Your
Yeah,
memory
that'd be
for
the same
dates.
guy. There weren't too many. He was a super artist.
Very
Super
dynamic.
artist. Yeah.
Well,
Rather
write into
sp-
Rebellion and get them to reprint that.
I'm sure you've got their email somewhere. You've got James coincidentally mentioning about HMS Nightshade, Garth, saying that I've just reread HMS Nightshade for the first time in years. Amazing strip, one of John W.'s best.
I think so. I think it's absolutely tremendous. Why I think it's so important is that it's about something that really matters. Most of John's career, he's written fantasy and science fiction, much of it excellent, beyond excellent, of course, Dredd, Straunt, Robo Hunter, all the rest of it. But I would say that Nightshade, at least in his battle work, is the top of the heap, even beyond Darky's Mob, which, fantastic though it is a little bit more little bit nearer the fantastic itself, in that nothing like that ever happened. Whereas on the other hand, Nightshade is a pretty decent portrayal of a corvette, an escort corvette, on the Arctic and Atlantic runs during World War II. I think that John and Mike Western really captured those campaigns brilliantly, and that's why that story is so important.
Yeah. I think what we're going to do is we'll ask John. Oh, hang on. Yes, yeah, Blazer. There you go. Do check out a certain Kickstarter that's doing the rounds. There you go.
I picked up a copy, or at least I've ordered mine. So I'm hoping it'll be awesome.
Yeah. Where's the best place for people to find out more about that, Steve?
Yeah, it's great. I wrote the whole thing myself, and even the letters in the feature pages, it's kind of like the comic that would have come after Action if Action hadn't been banned. So it's one step on from Action. It has a girl as a welcoming person rather than boring old me in Action, and it's got some.
I loved you as Action Man, Steve.
yeah, and it's got some fabulous artwork by a mixture of a good crew, one of whom is Peter Weston, son of Mike Weston.
Cool.
And
Really?
I become good pals with Peter. And this is his, he did work on, he got a BAFTA for his work on animation. One of his things was Roger Rabbit, I think. But we've become good pals, and this is his first ever comic strip he's had to do, and he's really knocked it out of the park. It's fabulous. So yeah, get Blazer, it's hot.
Where's the best place for people to find out more about that? Oh, it's still on mute, sir.
Sorry, I don't know when you
okay.
Google to promote this.
Ah, fair enough. Right. I think what we're going to do is we'll wrap up with just a couple of questions, and then we'll move on to the auction portion of the site, because the live stream. Because I mean, we are getting. I mean, how far would you say to completion on that? I mean, I'm guessing into the final stretch, John.
Yeah, fairly much. I'm going to do a wee bit of whiteout work on it next, just tidy up a wee bit, and then that'll probably be it done. Yeah, it's come along a bit quicker than I was expecting.
Excellent stuff. We'll wrap up with this question, which I think is a great one, certainly to put to John and to Garth. What is the story? This is from Kelly Kanayama. What is the story that you have that most sums up what it's like to work with each other?
Oh, good Lord.
I remember. See, that's actually really hard to answer, because how do you get the one that sums it up? I don't know. I can remember. I remember actually on Troubled Souls a couple of times carrying John's original art on the plane from Belfast over to London for whatever reason, and you had that plastic tube, that extendable plastic tube.
Yeah, I remember.
In when it was rolled up, and at security, the armed police always took great interest in it, because when you extended it, when you took the two ends of it and pulled them apart, it had that anti-tank rocket launcher.
It really did.
It had a very click noise when it did that, and I'm standing there just waiting for them. And I said, if you just open it up, it's full of comic book artwork. And
please don't shoot me.
But you could, the guy's probably thinking, well, if I unscrew the end, will some sort of armor piercer come flying at me and take my head off? That, I don't know, says much about working together, but it's certainly a thing that happened.
I got exactly the same thing happening to me on a few occasions when I went over that. So obviously I just passed that on to you, Garth, for a laugh. I was just like, this will be a jolly good jip when Garth gets to the airport with this. Tee-hee.
Well, I think we do know someone who pulled a much better joke on a mutual friend of ours, though, don't we? Where he took extreme hardcore pornography and stuffed it into his suitcase, so that when he was traveling from London back to Belfast, this all would be revealed, and apparently it was just filth beyond reason. Like
I'm pretty sure I know who you're talking about too.
Yeah, I mean, the victim's one thing, but the perpetrator, he had a ready supply of this kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
So it could have been worse.
It could have been.
Oh,
I think the thing I remember about working with Garth was when we were working on HEROGASM. There was a particular bit in HEROGASM where a young lady is with a hump is being and Garth said, that's from a joke that you told me years and years and years ago.
It's a thing
it was a thing I said when Garth came into my shop one time and was buying his comics, and I had no recollection of this thing at all. I had no idea of what I had said or anything like that. And I just looked at Garth and went, Jesus Christ, is your mind like a steel trap or something? I mean, and it's always the way. He remembers every frigging date of everything that's ever happened. And I'm a moron. I can't remember what I had for tea just earlier.
The character's called Sheamoth, and she's the blue woman with the hump. And where it came from, I'm not sure if you can actually. Well, I suppose you can broadcast this, but
oh God, you're going to drop me in it.
When you went to John's comic shop, he could always be relied upon to give you his opinions on the latest releases, whether you asked or not. And at the time, a famous writer-artist who we'll call Ron Nern was working on a Marvel book we'll call She-Bulk. And Ron had taken to drawing himself into every issue and interacting with the She-Bulk. And it was really getting quite cringeworthy. John showed me quite a bit of it. It was kind of awful. And John one day exploded with, Jesus Christ, when is Ron Nern just going to draw himself tit-fucking the She-Bulk and have done with it?
There you go.
And that stuck in my head, and that's where Sheamoth came from.
Oh, there you go. That's a beautiful story.
Isn't it?
I'm filling up. I'm filling up.
Well, the good thing is that no one will know.
So emotional.
Yeah.
Yes, you really disguised that very well, Garth. No one has a clue.
No one will have a clue.
Yeah.
But it was kind of ghastly the way he was doing it. And comic, not
yeah. I mean. Well, anybody who actually does know who we're talking about, well, he's not the greatest person in the world. Let's put it that way. So I'm not.
Don't keep going, John. Just compound our crimes.
Oh, for God's sakes! I try my best.
And you've got a comment. It's great to know Sheamoth's origins.
And, absolutely, because you demanded it, true believer.
Hang on, what's this? We've got. No, hang on. So Steve's saying, I have to go now. Dinner calls. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, right.
Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much indeed for coming and talking to us. And certainly talking about Crisis, which, like I say, I mean, I agree with yourself. I think it's a book that over the years has continued to age incredibly well. And I personally hope to see more collected works of the individual strips, because they really do hold up incredibly well in 2021. Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much indeed for coming on, sir. And enjoy your tea.
Cheers,
so
Steve.
Thank you, John.
Thanks,
Good
Steve.
to see you, Garth. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Leonard. guys, have a good evening. And don't forget, I gave a
Dave.
book for the auction. See ya. Could I? I'm
See you,
on mute.
Steve.
No, I'm not. Bye-bye. Great to see you.
Bye-bye.
It's snowing here, dudes. Right.
See you, Steve.
Excellent stuff. Garth, I know that it's very rare for you to do live streams, and it's been a pleasure to have you joining us. Thank you so much indeed for coming on. We are going to be doing we're going to be doing an auction very shortly indeed, and I know that John is going to look around the studio as well, see if there's any other bits and pieces that he can possibly do and to give away. I mean, I think I've got a signed Jim Lee book, which I'm going to throw into the mix. Is there anything to the hand that perhaps you would like to contribute perhaps to the auction? Is there anything that you would like to put forward? I know that this is really throwing you under the bus and put you on the spot, but I don't know if there's any promotional tat that you may have to hand that you'd like to.
God, promotional tat. Shit, nothing that comes to mind. I can have a hunt around and let you know if you like.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what we are going to do is we are going to be auctioning off the Judge Dredd piece, and what we are going to be doing is doing that through the comments in the Q&A. It's basically who can get the highest figure in there before I call time on it. So it is really the old school auction rules. It's whoever gets the highest bid in. And yeah, what we are going to do is auction some stuff off. I'm going to start with at least one piece, and we'll go from there. I think I've also got a signed John Wagner piece in the other room, which I'm going to auction off first. But this is our first bid, just while of our first item. This is something which I got. This is the San Diego Comic-Con International Souvenir book, but it is signed. The cover art is by Mr. Jim Lee himself, and there you go, signed by the man Jim Lee. So what we are going to do is it's very much a case of, if you would like to put a bid in for this, every single penny of the bids will be going to the Cartoon Museum. So please bear that in mind. It is funds for the museum, and it really is just to kind of get us ourselves all warmed up for the main auction piece, which is of course the Judge Dredd piece, which you can see John doing right now. So with Steve Marchant watching, no pressure, we are looking for bids for a signed Jim Lee 2014 souvenir book from San Diego Comic-Con. Does anybody have any bids? Put them into the comments right now. And we'll let's have a look. We're at 47 minutes past, so we'll give it 3 minutes. The person who puts the highest bid in I will get in contact and I'll mail that off to you. Catherine Hms, Cat Hms saying a mystery promo tap box from Garth Ennis. Anything could be in that, couldn't it? It could be anything. Let's have a look at see whatever. Mike Donashi is saying I'm rereading Herogasm this weekend now, actually. Yeah. Comments there, excellent stuff. Richard Meehan getting his the ball rolling, excellent stuff. £20 for the 2014 souvenir book, signed by Jim Lee. I think I've got a photo to prove that it is actually Jim Lee's scrawl on there. But no, it's Jim Lee signed 2014 souvenir book. Do get your bids in. Any better or any higher than £20 in 2 minutes. Let's see how many we get in. Grimmy Jaggers. I'm sure this wasn't supposed to happen, but I love every single one of the boys' stoops. They're just so horrid. I have one too many A-Train commissions, the first of which was drawn by John. Yeah. Let's have a look at the comments. I mean, there have been certainly great chats and talking about certainly people reading comics that perhaps were not necessarily age appropriate. And Kelly Kaneyama saying reading that she was reading Arkham Asylum in the public library, age 14. So, you know, fair play to you. It's a case of what floats your boat, and it doesn't matter. I personally don't think age is that much of a relation. It relates too much. So it's a case of what really gets you excited. Grimmy gets a bid in, £30. Excellent.
We all did it.
Sorry?
Well, we all did.
We all did it.
You know, we all read stuff that wasn't age appropriate. It's just that I don't think anyone really wants to have that particular legal battle over allowing a 14-year-old to read X, Y, and Z. You know, we'd rather just not end up in court over that one.
Yes, absolutely.
Good point. Yeah. Sure. Tell you what, we'll make it a quick countdown. We'll go with 30 seconds. Any improvement on the bid? £30 going to the Cartoon Museum for this signed Jim Lee 2014 San Diego Comic-Con souvenir book.
You don't want to jump
Anybody
in?
else want to?
Jim
I'm still looking for what's going to fill this top box.
What's that?
We'll go with 10 seconds.
Again,
9, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think we'll say thank you very much indeed to Grimmel Jaggers. £30. We'll get that in an envelope for you. Congratulations. We'll get in contact with you shortly, and we'll get that to you. Thank you very much indeed to also for your donation to the Cartoon Museum. Right, we'll just go to this piece here, so John can just talk very briefly about the final stretch on this Judge Dredd piece.
All right, yep, just pissing around.
If you could fill a little bit of time while I go and get the other item for the auction.
Okay, yeah, sure. Just a little bit of wash now on it. I probably will add a bit of color to it after the show's over. I just didn't bring any of my paints downstairs with me. And the lighting in my studio is so bad that I can't run a live stream out of it, which is ridiculous considering it's my studio. Oh well, there you go. But yeah, I think this is pretty much about it. I'm just gonna no friggin' hell. Yeah. So also I've got a copy of Hitman's Greatest Hits as well. I don't know which camera we're looking at, which I'm going to auction too. Sorry, I keep hitting my hand against the wire from my headphones.
Oh, okay. I'll put that on mute for a second. Right, okay. I am going to, I'm rather loath to actually put this forward now because it's one of my prized possessions. But
don't do it, man. You don't have to do it.
I'm going to. This is a copy of Future Shock. This is the Blu-ray of the story of 2000 AD. If you've not seen this documentary, it's a fantastic compilation of some of the great and good from the history of 2000 AD, talking about its legacy and its history. The actual Future Shock cover is slightly different to this one. As you may notice, this is the Judge Dredd one, as done by Jock. Now, as you may notice, some rude buggers have actually scrawled all over it. So you may notice the signatures of John Wagner, and Jock, the artist of said cover. That is what I'm going to put forward for the next bid, and I'm going to say a 3-minute countdown for the highest bid on this Blu-ray copy of Future Shock, signed by Judge Jock and John Wagner. Okay, so that is our next lot, and it's 3 minutes starting from now. Highest bid for this, please. Like I say, signed by John Wagner, co-creator of Judge Dredd and the artist of said cover of this version of Future Shock. That would be Jock.
I'll get more than
so there you
drawing.
go. Pardon?
That'll get more than my drawing.
I really seriously doubt it, but we'll see how well we do. So here we go then. We're looking for the first bid. We've got Richard Meehan getting a bid of £20 in for this Future Shock. It's got all the special edition bonus features that this is the actual, like I say, the special edition of it, because it's got all the extended interviews, including a nice little interview with Karen Berger, which I quite like, but also Pat Mills stood outside King's Reach Tower and yes, having one or two views about his time on 2000 AD, which I'm sure you get the general gist if you know what the man is like. But here we go. £20 is our first bid. Let's have a look at where we are. Does anyone want to go higher? Like I say, you've got about a minute and a half. Special edition of Future Shock. You've got a minute and a half minutes to go. £25 has been bid. Okay. What else can I say about this? It's been played. I think it's been played once. In fact, I don't even think it's been played once because because I've also got the iTunes version, so I watch it on iTunes. But I got the Blu-ray to get signed, and I was going to try and get more to get signed on it, but then comic convention stopped, and that all went horribly wrong. Mike Donishie is putting £30. 45 seconds to go. He says, stretching the time out a little bit, and hopefully getting more people to bid. Yeah. 20 seconds. Oh, and the dread's done, so we're really close to seeing what that's all about. In fact, I think we'll also we'll do this bid, and then I think we'll let Garth get off and enjoy the rest of his evening.
Actually, I've had an idea.
So what?
I've had an idea.
You've had an idea? Ooh,
yes.
okay.
I've had one of my patented ideas, but finish the auction and then I'll tell you.
Fair enough. 10 seconds. And we've got Mike Donishie with the highest bid so far, £30. 9, 7, 5, 4, 3, 2. Well done. Congratulations to Mike Donishie. I will get that, get in contact with you, and we will get that to you, a signed Future Shock by John Wagner and Jock there. Excellent stuff indeed. Right. Anytime that the Garth Ennis says the words, "I've had a good idea," I get interested. So go for it.
Is this something to fill up the box of taps for the auction? I mentioned that series Sarah from a couple of years ago, the one about the Russian woman sniper that Steve Epting illustrated. What I'll do is I'll dig up the scripts. There's 6 scripts, and I'll sign them, and you can auction those off. Well, I've definitely got 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll dig out 2 one way or another. So I should get going. But if you guys want to auction those off, you're welcome, and just let me know where to send them afterwards, okay?
Fantastic. Wow. Thank you, Garth.
All right. Otherwise, I should get going. So thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it. And John, I imagine I'll see you soon. All right.
Absolutely. Yeah. If there's ever a comic convention ever again, we're allowed to travel.
Or international travel. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I know.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Cheers, guys.
You take it easy, Garth. Thanks very much.
Right,
Garth, thank you so much indeed for coming on, sir. Take care.
Bye.
Wow. Okay. Shall we make that our next bid, or shall we save that? Shall we go? We'll possibly go for the Hitman book first, John.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yep. It's Hitman's Greatest Hits. I will sign it and put a little sketch in it somewhere of probably Hitman. And so yes, there it is. It's got a retail price of $30, and
Wow.
it's got Zombie Night at the Gotham Aquarium in it, so you know it's quality. Can't beat splash pages like that.
Brilliant.
Right.
Okay.
So that's next.
Well,
see if that gets.
okay. That's what our next lot is going to be, and what we will do is we'll put 3 minutes on the clock on this.
Sure.
Shall we go with 3 minutes, or shall we go a bit snappier on this one?
I don't know. Your choice.
We'll tell you what, we'll go with the we'll go a bit snappy. We'll see where we get to a top bid. Already we've got bids in already. Kelly is saying £20 for the Hitman signed Hitman book, but that's been doubled. Richard Meehan is putting £40 in for that. Excellent. So thank you very much indeed, Richard. But it's now time to find out if we've got generous people watching. The thing is, I can understand if people are in fact holding off on their shekels until the Judge Dredd piece goes up for grabs, but we'll see what we can raise. Signed Hitman graphic novel. We have a high bid at the moment of £40. Do we have any increase on 40? Put it into the comments and type away. Just look in the back of the sofa, see how many coins you can find, and see if you can top that bid of £40 from Richard Meehan. What do we say, everybody? Do we have any increase, any bets, or any better offers on £40? I think what we'll do is we'll go with 30 seconds on the clock. Does anyone have any increased bids? And £40 for Hitman, signed by John McCrea himself. We are still. The man said it was done, but he's still working on this Dredd piece. And like I say, this is going to be going to a lucky recipient. 10 seconds left. Anybody else wants to bid for the Hitman signed graphic novel?
It'll have a sketch too.
Sketch in there as well.
Oh, sure.
Richard saying he's winning. 10 seconds. It looks like it's going to be Richard Meehan. Congratulations. You are the now proud owner of a rather fine Hitman graphic novel signed by John McCrea, and of course with a sketch in there as well. Right. Well, unfortunately, bidding is now closed, but somebody has increased the bids.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Richard has won that, but let's see if you're going to be slightly faster on the bids with the next lot. And I think it's going to be that pile of scripts from Garth Ennis, signed by Garth. We'll get the details, and we will get them to you directly from Garth's address, which means if you can track where he sent it from, you will get Garth Ennis's home address. So congratulations to you. But basically, that's
not guaranteed, by the way.
That's not guaranteed.
No.
Okay, so we're talking. He said he definitely could put his hands on 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and he was going to track down script for number 2.
Oh, he'll find
scripts. He'll find it. Yeah. So basically, signed Garth Ennis scripts. Okay. It's now time to open up the bids. Mike Donashie is saying, what if I'm already standing outside his house? Well, number one, you put away the binoculars, because quite frankly, you will be obviously spotted if you just, for goodness sake, find a bigger bush to hide behind. It's a trick. So there you go. Right, so we have ourselves a top bid of £100 from, I think that's Leapka 679 for the signed Garth Ennis scripts.
Sweet.
Incredible. Admittedly, some other bids have come in not to that height, at which point automatically there's been some follow-up comments along the lines of, damn it. So yes, but it's a great bid. It's a great bid. And I personally think this is the kind of ballpark where you need to be looking at for signed Garth Ennis scripts. There's 6 of them. I think that's a fantastic offer. First, £100. We've got hand claps all around. Here we go. Do we have any increase on £100? What I'm going to do is I am actually going to start a stopwatch on this. I've got my stopwatch here. We'll go with 3 minutes on the clock. The clock is now running. It's the highest bid at 3 minutes. Kelly Kanayama is saying for £110.
Oh, bless you, Kelly.
Okay, like I say, every penny of this is going to the Cartoon Museum. Andreas, £120. This is what we like to see. This is what we like to see, because this is just getting us all warmed up for the Judge Dredd piece. Liebke is saying £130. You're gonna have to also let me know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I think I'm miles out. Let me have a look at the invite list and just make sure I'm getting this right. It's David. So there you go. David is saying £130.
130. Nice.
130. Richard Meehan, if you can get more, my Hitman being redone, do it. Well, I mean, it was a couple of quid on top, just to let you know. But we are talking 2 minutes to go. Any increase on £130? Mike Donachet, my name is pronounced Frankenstein. Nice reference, sir. Love it.
Yes.
You know what? I've been promising myself ever since the passing of the actress that starred in that to watch that again.
Yeah. It was Frau Blucher, wasn't it? The actress
Frau
who played Frau Blucher, who passed away, isn't it, recently? Yeah. That was a shame.
Richard Meehan, £140. We have ourselves just over a minute left. £140 is the top bid. What do we say, David? Is 150 on the cards? It's time to see how fast we can type now. It's not like eBay, by the way. It's not a case of the second that the stop clock goes. But let's see if we can match it, or if we can go. David, what do you say? 150? Can you go to 150? Otherwise, it's Richard Meehan with a bid of 140 for the Garth Ennis scripts. 150. In fact, we've got 2 bids for 150. Kelly got in there first. So hang on a second. Andreas, £166.66. Kelly, £170.
Whoa.
£185 from Andreas. You've got 15 seconds. £200 from Grimmy. These are fantastic. This is fantastic stuff. Like I say, it's well worth as well. Garth Ennis scripts signed. £200. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Any increase on 200, or is 200 the top? 5, 4, 3, 2. Andreas is saying 217.
Yeah, right at the last.
This is putting a lot of pressure on the Judge Dredd piece.
You're telling
Grimmy
me.
Jagger's 220. The bids are still coming in. The bids are still coming in. Andreas 225.
It's definitely going to have color on it. To compete with this. Good Lord.
Grimmy saying 230. It seems to be a neck and neck between Andreas and Grimmy at the moment.
Wow.
Oh, my word. Andreas is saying 240. Can we go to 250? Yeah, the stop clock's been and gone at this point. Yeah, we're now just seeing how, the stop clock was to kind of give us a ballpark of where we were aiming for time. 250 is the top bid so far for these signed Garth Ennis scripts. Like I say, every penny is going to Steve Marchant. If we could see Steve's face at this point, he'd be grinning like a loon, but is in total darkness.
Yeah.
Andrea's saying 257. This is a real nail biter. They are kind of they're scrapping in the chat, but we need to get a top bid now. So let's see. Can we go to 260? Grimmy says 260.
Wow.
Kelly put a bid in of 258, was just nipped by Grimmy. Grimmy says 300.
Oh,
yeah. Someone has just Grimmy's now just going. No, enough of this. Enough playtime. 300. Okay. Is 300 our top bid?
Wow.
Going once. Going twice. 300. Andreas is saying, I tip my hat.
Fair play.
Going once. Going twice. Kelly Kanayama says 350.
Yeah, Joe.
Wow. Fantastic stuff. Andreas is saying not 303. No, Kelly, I think, is definitely putting the challenge down, and Grimmy is throwing in the hat. £350. It looks like is our top bid. Going once, going twice. Done and dusted.
Wow.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you,
Thanks
guys.
very much. That's
Kelly
great.
is saying, oh God, what have I done? I tell you what you've done. I tell you what you've done. You just got yourself some signed Garth Ennis scripts, which you're not going to find anywhere else, quite frankly. I mean, they are very cool. It's incredible. That's a hell of a prize to get, and thank you so much indeed for your amazing.
And all the money's going to the Cartoon Museum.
Yeah. So the winner goes to the spoils. Well done, Kelly. Right.
Nice one, Kelly.
Thank you very much indeed. Like I say, what I'll be doing is getting in contact with you all, and we'll find out your details, and we'll get those donations in. Like I say, every penny is going to the Cartoon Museum. Okay. Which brings us to our final piece. Like I say, there's encouraging. There's Kelly going, thank you very much indeed. And encouraging me to pay what these scripts are worth. Very much so. I very much so. Right. Going solo on the camera so we can see this piece. This is what has been worked on over the last 2 hours, 2.5 hours, including the pencil. Indeed. No, about 2 hours piece is this. And that is John McCrae's Judge Dredd. That is a phenomenal piece of work. That is our showpiece of the auction, which means it's a case of get the bids in. It is open right now, and it really is a case of whoever gets the highest bid in. We are just going to keep going until the bids stop. And we start with Richard Meehan saying £250. A great opening bid for this fantastic piece that you have seen created before your very eyes on today's live stream. Judge Dredd by John McCrea. Lipka, David is saying 300. Cool. Richard Meehan saying 400. Oh, yes.
Bless you guys.
But like I say, we are talking not only a fantastic piece of unique artwork, but also a great donation being raising money for the Cartoon Museum. £450.
Oh, fantastic.
From Grimmy Jaggers? Jeez, I want to learn how to,
Just call her Clara. That's her real name.
Clara. Is it Clara? Oh, hello there.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. There you go. Now I know. Okay. Andreas, 466. Richard Meehan, 475. Clara, £500. £500 is the top bid so far.
It's a good bid.
Have you got any increase on £500 for this John McCrea unique piece of work? If anything, you're paying for £500. It's at least £400 for Judge Dredd and at least £100 for that shoulder pad alone.
Yeah,
£550.
Yeah, well, that's the shoulder who I'd sold it. Thank you, man.
Richard Meehan, £550.
Well,
like I say, as soon as it looks like the bids dry up, that's when we'll stop. But at the moment, £550. Can we go to 575? I'm just doing the math in my head. I'm just seeing. I think we'll have raised at least £1,000 for the Carter Museum tonight.
that's fantastic. Comes with a sketch of Rorschach.
Oh my Lord! What's this? What on earth? Where's this come from?
Yeah, I was doing a commission for somebody of Rorschach, and it was not very good, so I moved on to a new one. Yeah, and I never waste paper.
Okay.
I never waste paper.
Excuse me. Can you just stop for a second? Turn that back over.
Yep. There you go.
A Rorschach sketch, 2 for the price of 1. Okay, come on.
There you go. Forgotten that was on the back. Yeah,
Clara says 580.
Yeah,
580.
Bless you, Clara.
Can we go to 600? 600. Forgot that was on the back.
Well, I did. Honest, just popped into my head.
580 is our top bid at the moment. Can we go to 600? Richard's saying, I love it, but ...
Yeah, it's a lot of dough.
This is breaking my heart. It's exceeding my limits so fast I didn't get a bid in. Impressive, says Mike. Now, what John is going to do now is he's now going to just fill in some of the gold highlighted section with actual gold leaf.
That's exactly true. That's exactly. I've just got some lying right here. Just
£590 from Richard Meehan. Thank you so much indeed for your generosity. But Clara takes us to 600.
Yes. Bless you, Clara.
£600 is incredible. Clara, I've been saving up. I'm sorry.
Good Lord.
Hello, is this a bonus at the side?
I'm just putting Anderson in as well. You know, because, yeah, well, I've got a bit of time.
3 for 1. 3 for 1.
There you go.
It was all for this, says Kelly. You're absolutely right. £600 is our top bid so far. Can we go to 620 perhaps? 620. You're getting a bonus Anderson in there as well. And Rorschach at the back.
It's a very odd combination.
David saying, who needs food? No one.
Yeah, exactly. It's overrated. Just
okay,
go Soylent
600
Green.
seems to be our top bid.
Yeah, well, that's.
But Richard gets in with 620. Oh dear, Clara. Now, she thought she had it in the bag. But what do we say? Can we go to 630? Can we go to 650? 640, says Clara.
Oh,
it's now between Richard and Clara. But Clara's got the top bid so far. Kelly, can you send some snacks with the art as well? Then no one has to choose between art and food.
There you go. Beautiful. I'll do that. I'll stick a pot noodle. I'll stick a pot noodle in.
Stick a pot noodle in there. £640. Can we go to 650? 650, says Richard.
Good God.
Clara must be screaming at her laptop right now. Searching round the back of the sofa for those spare shekels. What do we say? 660? Or, of course, if you want to throw the cap in, if you want to throw the towel in, let us know. But right now, our top bid is 650. Clara says, "Give me a second." She's now checking.
Don't bankrupt yourself now.
No, yeah. Well, Clara puts in a bid of £670.
Good Lord.
Hang on, what's this? 670. That may be as far as she goes. 670. What do we say? Is there any improvement on 670? Like I say, you're getting yourself an Anderson now as well. Yeah, I'm an Anderson fan. I'm I'd be up for just the Anderson sketch as it is. Richard says that is definitely yours. Good show. 670 seems to be the top bid. Going once. Going twice.
I'm pretty happy with that.
Congratulations to Clara. You are the owner of a incredible piece of artwork done for you live on this stream. Judge Dredd, Judge Addison, and Judge Rorschach.
I'll stick a Dredd badge on him, a Judge Dredd badge on him. Yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, he does have a lot in common with the judges. That is true.
Yes, very much so. If anyone's going to see them as absolute heroes, it's them.
Yeah,
but it's Rorschach.
Yeah.
Everyone, please congratulate Clara.
Thank you very much.
That's fantastic. I've spoken enough. John, is there anything you would like to say to wrap things up? Because it's been a hell of an evening.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody who's come along and enjoyed the chat with Garth and Steve and myself. And thank you, Leonard, for hosting. Steve, for representing the Cartoon Museum. Been great to see you. Sort of, kind of see you. See your sort of silhouette. It's been lovely. And
the light is on as well. I'm under a very bright light. Yeah. So it must just be my dark demeanor clouding the proceedings.
Yes, just sucking all the light into the void that is you. So anyway, but thanks to everybody who came along, joined the stream, and bid and have raised a decent chunk of money for the Cartoon Museum. And like Steve said, this is sort of in memory of not only for the Cartoon Museum, but also in memory of Alison Brown as well, who was just a wonderful person. I only knew her a little, but she was just a super person. And I think anybody who met her and knew her really loved Alison. So from what I read in comments, and so this is going out to her as well, in her memory. So thanks very much, folks, and I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think we're good. That's me.
Excellent stuff. Well, I mean, I think all I can say to wrap things up is thank you so much indeed for watching. I know that this is going to be going out after the fact. It's been a nice invite only for the people who are watching right now. But hopefully you've enjoyed the conversation. Hope you've enjoyed some of the memories of a period in comics which I mean, Steve is under the impression that we could see again, but I think it's very much a singular time. And if you do get the chance to track down any of the strips, any of the books for Crisis, do go check them out. But this is going to be going out after the fact. So if you are watching this and thinking to yourself, I had £1,500, I could have bought that. Well, tough. You can't. But what you can do is you can take that £1,500 and you can donate it to the Cartoon Museum. It's a organization which is doing its best to showcase and archive and preserve some of the best in comic art from across the globe, but mostly of UK creators. Once pandemic lifts and we get the chance to go through the doors again, I would heartily recommend checking out the Cartoon Museum. But please do donate. Head to cartoonmuseum.org, click on the donate button, and every penny that you go, it really does allow the Cartoon Museum to preserve the best in comics. From myself, Leonard Sultana, do find me at An Englishman in San Diego on the Convention Collective. You can find me on Twitter at Englishman STCC. John, you can find at Mccrae Man, so MCCREAMAN. Don't get the E and the A mixed up because he doesn't like that at all.
Oh yeah, I get really pissed.
Don't ask. Don't ask. Steve, where's the best place to keep a track on what's happening with the Cartoon Museum? Is there any particular social media people can go to? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Where's the best place for people to go?
Well, there's our website, obviously, and also look for me on Facebook. Anything to do with the museum, breaking news, that's where you'll see it first.
Excellent stuff indeed. That has been us. One more time, let's just have a quick look through the last comments. James Bacon, looking forward to the reopening of the Cartoon Museum. Agreed. Yes. Damien Edmondson, great stuff, guys. John, you're a legend. So there we go.
Well, excellent stuff. In my own bathroom. Absolutely.
We've got David, who's saying, thanks everyone, this was fun, saying bye from Hungary. James PT, thanks to everyone for a great evening. Dennis is saying great evening. It's been a pleasure to host this. Thank you so much indeed for watching. Donate to thecartoonmuseum.org, and of course, make sure that you find a way of picking up your copy of Mighty World of Mccrae, which is available. Yes. Where's the best place for people to get a copy of this, John?
My website, I guess.
Go to his website and get this book because it's brilliant. Anyway, there you go.
Thank you, Leonard. I didn't want to show myself, but you did it for me. Bless you, sir.
Excellent stuff. Take care. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Thank you.